Have you ever stopped to think about how plants eat? No, they don't shut down their snacks like we do. Instead, they create their own food using light, air, and water through an incredible process called photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, solar energy gets converted into chemical energy. In this case, it's glucose, which is a form of sugar. Photosynthesis is divided into two main stages. The first stage is the light-dependent reactions. These happen in dilocated membranes. In this stage, sunlight energy is captured and water is split into oxygen, protons, and electrons. The plant produces ATP and NADPH, two molecules that store energy for later use. The second stage is the Calvin cycle. This happens in the stroma. It does not require sunlight directly, and this is why it's sometimes called the light-independent reactions. The plant uses carbon dioxide along with ATP and NADPH from step 1 to build glucose, a sugar molecule plants can store and use for energy. Photosynthesis happens inside a special part of the plant cells called the chloroplast. Chloroplasts are like tiny green power plants inside each cell. Inside the chloroplast, there are two key areas to know: the diliquid membranes and the stroma. The diliquid membranes are stacked up like little pancakes called grana, and that's where the light-dependent reactions happen. The stroma is a liquid-filled space surrounding those stacks. That's where the Calvin cycle takes place. Now let's zoom in and break down exactly what's happened inside a diliquid membrane during the light-dependent reactions of photosynthesis. First, sunlight hits molecules of chlorophyll, the green pigment embedded in the diliquid membrane. Chlorophyll's job is to absorb that light energy. When it does, it excites electrons inside the chlorophyll molecules, basically give them energy and send them into motion. In the photo, you can see electrons moving around. This shows that they're very excited. But that's just the start. Step 1. Water molecules are split. This process is called photolysis. Water, or H2O, gets broken into three things. First, oxygen gas, which is released as a waste product into the atmosphere. That's the oxygen we breathe. Secondly, protons, also called hydrogen ions. And lastly, high-energy electrons, which now begin their journey through the electron transport chain. Step 2, the electron transport chain. Electrons move along this chain, hopping from protein to protein built into the diliquid membrane. As they move, they lose energy gradually. That energy isn't wasted. It's used to actively pump more protons across the membrane into the inside of the diliquid, creating a high concentration of protons. This sets up what's called a proton gradient, which is key for the next step. Step 3, ATP formation. The protons that have built up inside the diliquid now flow back out through a special protein called ATP synthase. Think of it like a tiny spinning turbine. As protons flow through, ATP synthase uses that movement to turn ATP into ATP, which is the energy currency plants use. Step 4, NADPH formation. Those same electrons that travel through the chain eventually combine with NADP and a hydrogen ion to form NADPH, another energy stored molecule. So, to sum it all up, light energy and water go in. ATP, NADPH, and oxygen come out. ATP and NADPH move on to the Calvin cycle, which is where the plant actually builds sugar using the energy captured during this process. Now let's dive deep into the Calvin cycle, the second stage of photosynthesis, which takes place in the stroma of the chloroplast. Unlike the light-dependent reactions, this part does not require sunlight directly, but it needs ATP and NADPH from the first stage to power the process. The Calvin cycle's main job is to take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turn it into G3P, a simple sugar that eventually helps form glucose and other organic molecules. The cycle runs through 3 phases, and we'll follow the path in the diagram as I explain each one. Phase 1, carbon fixation. Everything starts when 3 molecules of CO2 enter the cycle, 1 per turn. An enzyme called ribisco grabs each CO2 and attaches it to a 5-carbon molecule called RUBP. This forms an unstable 6-carbon compound for each reaction, which immediately breaks down into 2 molecules of 3-carbon compound called 3-PGA. So, from 3 CO2, we now have 6 molecules of 3-PGA. Phase 2, reduction. Now, the plant uses energy and electrons to convert 3-PGA into something more useful. First, 6 ATP molecules donate energy, turning 3 PGA into a new intermediate molecule. Then, 6 NADPH molecules donate high-energy electrons to reduce these molecules into G3P, which is a higher energy 3-carbon sugar. At this point, we produce 6 molecules of G3P. But here's the key. Only one G3P will leave the cycle to eventually help build glucose and other carbs. The remaining 5 G3P molecules stay in the cycle to keep it running. Phase 3. Regeneration of RUBP. To keep the cycle going, the plant needs to rebuild the RUBP molecules it started with. The remaining 5 G3P molecules go through a complex series of reactions that rearrange their carbon atoms to regenerate 3 molecules RUBP, each a 5-carbon compound. This step uses up 3 more ATP molecules, which are converted to 3 ADP. Once RUBP is regenerated, the cycle is ready to start again. To summarize, to make 1 molecule of G3P, the cycle needs 3 molecules of CO2, N ATP, and 6 NADPH. And to make 1 full glucose molecule, which has 6 carbon atoms, the plant must run the Calvin cycle 6 times, producing 2 G3P molecules that join to form glucose. So even though the Calvin cycle doesn't need light directly, it relies entirely on the ATP and NADPH made during the light-dependent reactions. It's a powerful energy transformation, from sunlight to sugar. Photosynthesis isn't just something plants do. It's the reason life exists on Earth. Plants feed themselves, but they also feed everything else. Whether you eat plants or animals that eat plants, it all starts here. They also give us oxygen. Every breath you take is thanks to plants splitting water and releasing O2 during photosynthesis. They also help fight climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide, a major greenhouse gas, keeping Earth's temperature stable. So, when you think of photosynthesis, think bigger. Air, food, climate, and life. No photosynthesis, no us. And that's photosynthesis. Light in, sugar out, and life goes on. We watch plants become powerhouses, capturing sunlight, splitting water, making energy, grabbing carbon, and building glucose, all while giving us the oxygen we breathe, from the chloroplast to your lungs. Kinda wild, right? Now let's see what you remember. Here's a quiz recapping everything we learned in this video. The answers are in the description. Don't forget to comment your score. Thanks for watching. Now go impress them with your plant-powered brain.